This is not a drill. We are here, and they got a morning spice pop up. This is not a drill. This is go time. And this is serious time. This is one of the most dangerous times in the history of our country. It's the most dangerous time of my lifetime. I'm going to do a quick audio check. I am not in the mood for audio problems, so I think it sounds good. I'm going to need perspective from anybody who has time and is stopping by the channel today, because this is a staggering moment in history to be living. We don't know what's going to happen for sure, but the reports are, this is through Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump stated that he believes he will be arrested Tuesday. So we have been in the pot, we have been boiling, and it's been slowly getting hotter. And at some point, the actions of those who are supposed to be leaders, thank you, uniquely us, those who are supposed to be leaders, this is the moment I need to hear from you. And I want to start, before I get into the stories and all that stuff, I want to start with DeSantis. And I hope this doesn't burn bridges, but I don't give a damn. Ron DeSantis, to me, is showing who his true colors are. I had concerns after Mar-a-Lago got raided. We didn't hear nothing from Ron DeSantis. Not a thing. He had one little statement that he released. I didn't hear anything else from him about it. Everybody's talking about how this dude is savage. This dude is a leader. Well, then if he's a leader and he's savage, we're in antebellum right now. It's 1859. I need to hear from you. I'm starting with DeSantis. That's who I'm going to start with. The big story here is the people behind Trump. That's obviously who they're going after. Same discussion as the Mar-a-Lago. Oh, okay, let me reset, because everybody hasn't been following. I did discuss this on the channel. Let me reset before I get into DeSantis. And if anybody knows what's going on, I need comments. I need perspective to make sure that I'm not. And let me just make sure I will reiterate this as often as we need. I call for nothing other than peace. But I do need perspective from people in the chat. What's going on is, this has been going on. This has been going on. So what's going on is nothing new. None of this is new. This has been boiling up. And I don't blame you if you got many more important things to do in your life than to worry about what's going on with all this intricacies of all this stuff. Don't blame you at all. But this stuff has been going on. There's nothing new happening. Now, the final, we're almost at that final act. But, you know, it's interesting. These leaders haven't been really, who are the leaders? Ron DeSantis is becoming on the, and I'm picking on him because he's the one everybody's telling me, oh, he's the one. And if he's a leader, then he should have been talking about this on the national stage. At least he's been doing national tour interview type stuff now. But to reset what's happening here, this is a continuation of the attack against the populist right. That's what's happening. And it's going to culminate with what Trump is reporting and everybody's talking about, because it's not like Mar-a-Lago. You can't really sneak up and do an arrest of the president. That's not going to work. So you have to coordinate it with Secret Service and all that, and there's no way that's not leaking. That would be some crazy stuff. I mean, you could see some crazy stuff if they tried to do that without coordinating more than they did with the Mar-a-Lago raid. But look, this isn't even everything. I don't have enough characters on Twitter. I could do a thread to tell you everything. This is Russiagate. This is impeachment number 1. Remember the call with who? Who was the call with? Zelly and Ukraine. And we're here right now with supporting war with them. This is Black Lives Matter, Democrat money laundering scheme. And we found out that the bank in San Francisco, the Silicon Valley Bank, donated money to these BLM type causes. I'm still looking to see exactly where that went. I'm seeing totals of 73 billion reported, continuing that scheme. All of this is against the populist right. Impeachment number 2, which is just one of the worst points in the history of our country. Lies riddled throughout the impeachment. They didn't have an impeachment hearing. It was over J6. J6, by the way, which in my opinion was a setup. Then you have the J6 committee, which is essentially the third attempt at impeaching him. Then you had the Mar-a-Lago raid. Then you had FTX midterm, another Dem. It was BLM with crypto. FTX, Dem money laundering. Now this is what we're talking about with the arrest and indictment. I'll come back to these 3 things. Biden, scandals out the yin-yang with the Biden family. I mean, there's just scandals just falling out of everywhere. You can't even keep track of it. The scandals with the Biden family, like legitimate, we need handcuffs type scandals. So I like consistency more than anything. If you think Trump should be arrested, okay, do you, boo-boo. But if you think Trump should be arrested and you don't have any care for Brandon, the resident, his son, and damn near 500 crimes alleged, potentially just on the laptop, and the connections to Biden and beyond, then the inconsistency bothers me more than your opinion on whether Trump should be arrested or not. These are just some of the things. Left-wing violence just ignored, in fact, supported. And parents who are concerned, not even getting into politics, just concerned about what their kids are learning in school, labeled as terrorists from the same anti-populist movement. Things are out of hand. So that brings me to the question of what's happening. What's happening is you have Alvin Briggs. Is it Briggs or I always call him Briggs. I think it's Alvin Bragg. I mess up his name so often. Alvin Bragg. I completely mess up his name. Alvin Bragg, Manhattan DA, going after Trump. I did a video on it. It's bogus nonsense. Even the New York Times, when they talk about it, they're like, this is a rarely used, this is really obscure, how they're trying to twist this into election type stuff. They're going after him. I'm not going to digress too much. Maybe a different video to do nitty gritty stuff. We need to talk big picture right now. So it's just bogus BS. Then you have Fulton County. Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about national divorce. Fulton County in Georgia, you've got another DA going after him over what the Raffensperger call with a Republican. I'll get to the national divorce stuff in a bit. So you've got Manhattan grand juries, and there was an article in the Atlantic that basically said they're gonna indict. It basically came across that way. So what they're going to be doing here is a 3-way. They're going to try to get Trump. They're going to try to bend him over, and they're going to try to get him 3-way. They're going to try to get him with Manhattan. Remember, Alvin Bragg came in and said, there's no case here. What are y'all doing? And then allegedly, some people probably talked to him and said, when your boss talks to you, I don't know if it's George S. or who, your boss talks to you and says, look the document over one more time. I think you forgot something. You go find it. So Bragg is doing that to indict. When we talk about arrest, we talk about fingerprinted and potentially handcuffed. That's just part 1. Part 2 is Fulton County nonsense. I've done a video on the call. They've got more stuff that they're trying to go into. I'll have to do another video to bring that back up. But I did it at the time before I was even pushed more to the right than I was now. Way back on the channel, I did a video on how that was BS. I listened to the full call with him and Brad Raffensperger. And then after that, you could have the DOJ. So we don't know if all 3 are. I don't know if all 3 are coming, but Trump was talking about the Manhattan. So you could have 3 indictments. We aren't even in 2024 yet. And things are heating up. That's what we're talking about. Arresting him over nonsense. Just utter. you won't find anyone with a straight face that will say these are legit, that knows what's happening. There's a lot of buffoons that aren't following this stuff, and I call them buffoons because they've got a lot of energy and very little knowledge or details on what's happening. This stuff is BS. And when you compare it to Brandon, it's like laughable. And you could see Donald Trump arrested. That's what we are. This is country breaking apart type stuff. Well, it's not going to happen. I'll get into that, but that's where it should be. That's how serious this is. So he said, I'm confused. Why would they want to indict Trump? This is Chris Sci-Fi. Link, when it goes to trial, all of their misdeeds will be exposed. You haven't been following. I don't blame you. We covered a lot of these trials. The juries in these trials are in deep blue areas. You go to D.C., the J6 defenders couldn't even get good representation, most of them. They had Democrat lawyers who hated them, or some of them. The jury these are the NPC left. If the jury they would convict anyone who was a Trump supporter of anything. If I went into a jury in DC and they knew I was a Trump supporter, whatever that means. If you're not a Trump hater, you're a Trump supporter. And there was a crime, it doesn't matter what the crime is, up into unliving somebody. If there was no evidence, they would convict. That's how bad it is. So don't worry about all their misdeeds will be exposed. This stuff has been exposed. I mean, it's been exposed. It's just too intricate. We expose everything from Sullivan to Hillary C., the DNC, the lies. It's all out there and exposed. Doesn't matter. That's where we are. This is not a drill. This is a very serious moment. This is beyond the Mar-a-Lago raid now. They didn't even get anything on the none of this is on the Mar-a-Lago raid. Maybe the DOJ stuff, but this is not the Mar-a-Lago raid stuff. And I doubt that anything's going to happen. Thank you, Stephanie Cannon. Stephanie Cannon says, I trust God. That's why I need perspective. I will say I trust God as well, but what I don't trust is man. And see, the populist right trust in God, but we need to trust an organization as well. We need to trust on putting the concern in the right place. The concern isn't with the establishment at this point. The concern has got to be at your state legislative level. The states at this point should be talking with each other to release a joint AG statement. They did it with the aborting fetuses. There should be a joint AG statement. We don't need to talk about any trans stuff and all that, those laws. Stop talking about that right now. We well beyond that right now. The governors should be getting together. The pressure should be on the state. Forget about Congress. Forget about the federal government. Forget about the corrupt institutions. You've got people in your state. People tell me we have red states. I don't hear anybody saying anything. Where are the red states? Who's the red state? Somebody in the chat, tell me which state's a red state. Give me a red state right now. We're in the middle of a drill right now. Give me a red state. And then tell me what the governor of that red state, what the state legislative body of that red state are saying right now. Or are they just quiet? Oh, Texas is a red state. Oh, what has Greg Abbott said about this? None of this is new. This didn't just surprise, like, poop, oh, here it is. We've been talking about the potential of this happening ever since Trump was out of office. Tell me what Governor Abbott has said about this. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West hasn't specifically talked about this, but he's talked about we need to break apart. Steve Johnson, thank you for the super chat. $10, friend of show, says, what up, though? Think this could end in a massive backfire for those pursuing Trump? that it could go the opposite way if they want? No, I don't think so. I mean, it could if our process was trustworthy. Elon Musk tweeted today support, like Viva Fry said this is going to backfire on that and it will guarantee Trump wins the election, I think is what he said, or primary or election. Elon Musk kind of supported that, saying something like, I agree. And I quote tweeted Elon Musk and I said, who's going to tell him about the domino voting systems? I would agree if we could trust the process, but I don't. So without that, thanks again, Steve Johnson. Without that, I don't trust. Do you trust the I don't trust it. I mean, if you believe at this point that Resident Brandon got 81 million tickets, you are beyond stupid. I mean, you're beyond saving. You're beyond dumb stage. If you still believe that the Resident got 81 tickets filled out for him, you are beyond saving. Oh, the MAGA populist right ideas are bad. Remember, DeSantis kind of hinted at that? Oh, I won my state by 20-something points, but the midterms didn't turn out so well. And he said something to the effect of, we have to reevaluate that. Does that sound like somebody I would support? If you still think that the process at the state level for handling the tickets for who gets the golden ticket at the governor, resident level, all that stuff is legit, I can't help you. There's no help I can provide for you. Thank you, Rod. $19.99, $20 super sticker. I really appreciate that. Please give me perspective, please. Texas governor, Rod says Texas governor says Trump no longer electable. Is that true? We got no one but us, y'all. And when I mean us, I mean the people. Who? Maybe Carrie Lake? I haven't heard her say anything yet. I give her time because I trust her and she's been doing stuff with Zona and I want to do an update on that. She's been handling her business on her own level, so I'm not knocking. Please don't mistake that. But I'm just saying, who do you trust right now? As far as like these political, I'm talking about governor level. Who do you trust? Let me go to just the news here as people are coming in. Donald Trump, this is unbelievable stuff here. Donald Trump, I'm going to go to not the New York Times, again on my nerves with that paywall stuff. I think Reuters, I thought Reuters had paywall too, but it looks like I can get in there. Reuters headline, Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested on Tuesday. Calls for protest. That's the words of Donald Trump. I want to make sure it's clear because what these people do is misconstrue what you say. You might have seen what happened to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has never called for violence of anybody. To me, he goes further than I would go without being productive. So I don't like everything. Charlie Kirk is great, but he never called for any type of violence or any type of injuries or anything. But then somebody lied about him, outlets run with it. So you got to be careful. And I don't mind that Trump is not, because he never called for any violence. He said for protests. I want to make sure it's clear, though, before I continue reading this, is that Trump needs to be more specific. Who protest who? What? Where? When? How? We need leaders. Maybe he's not the right one, but now's the time for Carrie Lake. I know she's got a lot going on, but I don't know who else. Matt Gaetz. And not as Matt Gaetz, I don't really want to focus on the federal people, but maybe Matt Gaetz can talk about the state level. I don't know who, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. I'm sure there's tons of names I'm missing, but who are the leaders that need to come up and say, well, number one, we already learned our lesson. Don't protest in the belly of the beast. That's just stupid. So if you go to New York or D.C. to protest, it's on you. I won't be doing any J6 type videos for you at this point. I'll do a video calling you out of how stupid you are. I'll do that. At this point, I'm not doing, if you go to New York and DC, If you go into a lion's cave at this point and protest the den of lions and they go and eat you up, I'm going to be like, I hope they enjoyed the meal because your dumbass ain't helping. We've already learned, if we've learned nothing, we've learned that. That's just a waste of time. What are you trying to accomplish with that? That you went to the belly of the beast, got into the building, which is supposed to be your building, looked around, walked within the ropes in the building during a so-called insurrection, took pamphlets, took pictures and selfies. The weapons that they said you had were flag staffs. You had the American flag in the belly of the beast, supposed to be your building, had the American flag, and they hemmed you up, and they're still trying to hunt you down like dogs, looked for the flight logs, and got you in a cage. And you haven't learned the lesson? Go ahead and go back in that cage because you're not helping. You need to go back in that cage if you haven't learned that lesson by now. Who are you protesting? For what? Where? With what jury? When you get hemmed up, who are you going to call? Take your American, if you have red states and red areas, take your American flag, make sure it's a blackout one at that. That's why I like this hat from Officer Tate. Oh, it got kind of dirty. I don't like that. Got a little dusty on it. I have not worn this hat. It better not be. I have this hat from Officer Tater. I have those shirts where I have the blackout heart on them. That's the heart. You might not be able to see it. It's American flag in the heart, and it's blacked out. This is Officer Tatum's gear. I love this gear. Sharp, simple. That's a blackout flag. That's a flag on there. Don't take an American flag. Take a blackout flag. Is what I would do. Don't take any American flag. What I do like about the populist right is because you can compare the kneeling. You can compare this flag. This is how I feel right now, right here. This is the flag I feel like. I'm not wearing the regular flag for a minute. The shirts I have with the regular flag, I might as well just put those in the closet somewhere. I'm not wearing them for a minute until we resolve all this. Everything's going to be blackout. This is how I feel right now. And you can compare that to kneeling during the anthem. They're comparable. The thing I like about the populist right is it's out of love for the country. You would never hear those kneeling for the anthem, not the majority of them communicate that. That was the problem that most people had. If you kneel during the anthem and then afterwards when you had the opportunity, when people put the mic in your face to say, no, love the country. I love my fellow citizens. Here's what we didn't get that. We didn't get none of that from spoiled athletes at that. That's why I like the populist right. It's like, whoa, our country's in distress. I'm doing this even though we disagree. I'm doing this out of love for you. Even though you're too stupid to understand the rights that we have, I'm still going to try to protect the First Amendment right for you, even though you're so ignorant that you don't understand. That's what this is. So if you're happy about Trump getting arrested, that's fine. I still support. It's still fighting for the rights for you. And I think there needs to be a USA 1 and 2, like Sarah Silverman said. And if you want to come to USA 1 and enjoy the rights that you've had your whole life and you probably are spoiled, you don't even realize the difference. When you're in USA 2, you probably will realize the difference, and then you'll bring your ass on over to USA 1. Kind of like the people fleeing San Francisco, fleeing New York, fleeing California. Because those policy and ideas are stupid. And you need to put your hate for Trump aside and come join. You don't have to like Trump to say this is beyond ridiculous. I have a video on the channel on the blackout flag. The blackout flag is a symbol of distress. Different people say it means different things to them, but what it means to me is a symbol that our country is in distress. That's I'll just make it that simple and plain. That's what it means to me. Yes, it technically means no quarter given. I have a whole video talking about it, but let me articulate what it means to me right now. And it's a very serious thing, very serious. There's a trend of more people flying them, and that's where I would be going. I'm not doing any blue line, none of that blue lives, blue line, none of them, not the regular flag. I'm strictly blackout right now. What's up, Toy Mafia? Thanks for always stopping by. One of the best friends of the channel, many other people. Let's go back to the article. Yes, Charles Parker, we got to stand up, man. It's standing up for Trump, but really it's standing up for us. The only reason that every one of us, anyone who doesn't hate Trump, you don't even have to be a Trump supporter. The only reason they don't have you in jail is because they don't know the logistics wouldn't work. That's the only reason. And they would rather force you into fear. Just like I was watching one of these dating podcasts. They asked the young ladies, what is a woman? They know what a woman is. They're scared as hell to answer. It's the social pressure. It's fear. And they would have no problem locking up everybody in this country who can't say, I hate Trump. But logistically, you can't do it. You'd rather just scare everybody into not saying it. How many people how many people at whatever job you work would be comfortable saying, I don't hate Trump? They're not even saying I like Trump. How many people in your job would be comfortable openly saying, I don't hate Trump. I don't know. I don't hate Trump. How many people in your job would be comfortable saying, I support Black Lives Matter? How many people in your job would be comfortable saying, I support our President Joe Biden? That's the start of the fear, and this is the continuation of it. So you got to stand up for Trump, but it's really standing up for yourself. Charles Parker just found the channel. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. We got to find each other, man. I need more perspective. Am I making too much out of this? This is like Mar-a-Lago with another couple orders of magnitude. Melopoly, thanks for stopping by. He says, they know this won't stop Trump from running again. Even if he were in jail, this seems like a play to hurt his election fundraising. Yeah, it's to knock him out. I mean, they don't have anybody who's stepping up at this point, at least, that if you have a legit ticketing process, there's no way that they would beat him. They know that. Their ideas aren't winning ideas. We know that. The things they support aren't winning. No, when Brandon says it's almost like a sin to prevent children from mutilating their bodies, there's no majority in this country that believes that. And that's not even on some politics stuff. That's just on like, what are you talking about? Even people who think it, like I think if you have parental control, go ahead and do it. But nobody believes it's a sin to say, I'm not happy with it. I want a law against it. There's no one that, now, there's a lot of people who are afraid to say that and keep their job, but there's nobody who honestly believes that. When you look at voting for Trump versus Biden, like I said, there's not many people who will say, I don't hate Trump. But when you go into the voting booth, that's why they've got to go arrest them and try to do all this stuff. You go in the voting booth, there's a lot of people that will say, I ain't voting for Joe. I'm voting for Trump. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to tell my friends. Don't tell anybody. Is this voting process private? Make sure nobody's looking around. Even when you're at home doing out your mail-in ballots or your drop-off tickets, you just want to make sure. You might not even want to make sure your wife don't see it. Is people in private, the truth comes out. Yeah, there's a no-brainer. Things were better under Trump. He's more of a leader. We need more of a, I'm going to vote for Trump. They know that. Until you get the domino algorithm that they don't let you see get involved, which our federal government, that's not just me, our federal government admitted that there are problems with the algorithm ticketing with the domino company. Out in the open, federal government fully admitted that. They didn't say that, they didn't admit of finding it. They said the system was vulnerable. That's the same federal government that doesn't admit anything. So if they are admitting the system is vulnerable, how vulnerable do you think it really was? We need to find out who the real leaders are. That's what we're going to find out right now in this moment. Haven't even gotten to the article. That's how crazy things are. Former President Donald Trump on Saturday, that is today, March 18th, said he expects to be arrested on Tuesday as prosecutors consider charges over a hush money payment to a prawn star and called on his supporters to protest. I say peacefully, I'm just reporting what Pappy Don is saying he just got back on the platforms. How long you think that's going to be? It's probably going to be a Nick Fuentes minute before they boot him back off. They booted him off for this before. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out by Monday he's off the platforms. Facebook, probably even Twitter too. Facebook, YouTube. He's probably off again. Because that's exactly why they booted him off in the first place. For him to say peacefully, make your voices heard. So why wouldn't you do it again? Just like Nick Fuentes, I couldn't even upload the video celebrating him being on Twitter before he was banned on Twitter. And I knew before I uploaded the video that he was banned, and I was like, I did the video, I'm still uploading it. That's going to be the same thing with Pappy. No U.S. president, while in office or afterward, has faced criminal charges. When I say we're in unprecedented territory, I mean we're in unprecedented territories. Trump is seeking the Republican nomination. On top of that, he's already announced for president. So we've gone full. I mean, what country out there? I don't know what. I'm not very versed in like the foreign affairs, like people like Convo Couch and others are. Name the country. What country has had these type of incidents where the one political party goes after the other one with the force of the government, military, all that stuff? How long before they let the T group, the group that's supposed to be anti, against fascism, but they're really just a leftist version of the Triple K. How long before they let that group put on some MAGA hats, kind of like how long before they do a Jussie Smollett on all Trump supporters, go up, you see, oh my gosh, on Monday, you say, oh, on Tuesday, oh my gosh, look at New York and D.C., all these people in MAGA hats. This is MAGA country. How long before that? This is MAGA country. And it's 90% the group that's supposed to be anti-fascist. And then they say, you know what, we might need to do military. We might need to do a certain type of military law and make it martial and just take it over. Who knows? I mean, that's well off. That's huge speculation. But, I mean, we're in unprecedented territories. How could you not think about that? They could move their queen. It might be a little aggressive to bring your queen out this early in the game, like when I talk about the law that's martial. But you got to think about it as a possible move. You have to think about it. Going back to the article. Oh, we're going to get a lot more of the same. That was one of the biggest takeaways of the pandemic. One of the biggest takeaways of the pandemic is that these same people, it's the same people who are they're pro aborting fetuses, but they're anti bodily autonomy when it comes to a jab. The same people going after Pappy Don. When these people saw during the pandemic that I would put a muzzle on my 2-year-old, that's when they're like, we got this bitch where we want them. If you're going to put a muzzle on your 2-year-old, we're pretty much going to make sure that you bend over when I tell you to. If there's nothing, once you put a muzzle on your 2-year-old, there's nothing it's almost like you're in prison right now, and you're in prison, you come in, and there's that first moment, somebody might accidentally spill, I'm just hypothetically, somebody might spill some water on you or something like that, and you don't do anything. That's the moment when they know you will go by bitch from now on. You are my bitch. That's what you will be known as by now. And that's the populist right. I love the populist right, but we are their bitch, period. It's proven. Friend of show, that girl Casey had an amazing tweet the other day. I need to retweet it again. She said something to the effect of, I forget what the specific topic was, but the point was, she said, all this stuff is happening, election, J6, and what the populist right does is go on YouTube and use it as streaming content. Yeah, guilty as charged. So we find it interesting streaming content. It doesn't go anywhere beyond that, other than some people watching and some people creating streaming content or Twitter content. That's it. That's where it goes. And to the fact where she's like, and you wonder why it keeps on happening. I put a muzzle on my 2-year-old for months. And the strongest statement I said was, I'm going to give you till April and I'm not going to do it anymore. Then they lifted it before April. It's like somebody just bitching you around. And you're like, at some point I'm going to do something. And then they choose to stop doing it and then you stop. At that point, they knew we can do whatever we want to Grand Pappy. We can do whatever. The J6ers, they're done. We're still looking for them. If you looked up the possibility of flying to DC on day 6, we might get you. Like, that's how crazy it's getting. I saw an article, they said they're still looking at like 1,200 more people for J6. If you even thought about walking down the street in J6, they might find a charge for you. If you talked about J6, they might find a charge for you. Who knows? They could indict. They could commit. They could convict. Oh, I guarantee you, take you to DC. They take me to JC on my positions on J6 where I think it was stupid. I wouldn't have gone, but they had the right to do it. They had permits. The protest was permitted. And I wouldn't be surprised if they came to the door knocking for me right now, took me to jail. I had nothing. They would convict me in 2 seconds. I guarantee it to you. I could have Jenna Ellis as having Jenna Ellis defend me or Harmeet Dillon or one of them, that would make it worse. They would probably like, oh, you've got this person defending you. We putting you away for 10 on this one. Why not? They could if they wanted to. That might not happen, but they could if they wanted to. That's where we're at. Let me get to DeSantis. I can't wait to get to DeSantis. I really can't. After I get through this, I want to talk about DeSantis. I really want to talk about him. Illegal leaks. This is from Pappy Don on Truth Social. I don't know why he's not on Twitter. Just illegal leaks from a corrupt and highly political Manhattan district attorneys. That's Alvin Bragg. Indicate that and I need to think of a nickname for him. Shouldn't be respecting these people enough to be calling them by their real names. Alvin Bullshit. Alvin Corrupt. I got to think of a name for him like Trump thinks of these nicknames. Indicate that with no crime being able to be proven, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America will be arrested on Tuesday of next week. He did this on an alternate platform after getting unconstitutionally banned from big tech platforms. The same big tech that banked with Silicon Valley Bank, went bankrupt, they got their money out and donated to BLM causes. Unbelievable stuff. He said, protest, take our nation back. So I think, you know what, let me change what I said. I said Pappy needs to be more specific. That's not his strong suit. We need other leaders underneath Pappy. I need Charlie Kirk. I mean, these are just the people. I don't know who it is. So I'm just talking about the people that Tim Pool, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, Bryson Gray. Bryson Gray just dropped a dope track. I'll probably end with playing that Bryson Gray track. Dope track by Bryson Gray. Talking about his transformation. But he's a leader in my eyes. Who else? Whoever, Steven Crowder. I need you to step up and help people understand the rebuke to this, the protest to this has to be at your state level. I mean, like city council, like county level, like Maricopa County, we're taking you over level. Fulton County, I mean, Georgia's a blue state. Georgia's a mess. But let's look at Florida. What is Florida? I'll go with Florida because that gets to DeSantis. So I'll get to Florida. Nathaniel Erskine, long time no see. Thanks for stopping by. Says it's not even a federal charge. The federal charge is coming. It potentially is coming. You think that the DC, not DC, but the New York Manhattan DA is going to put charges, Fulton County DA is going to pull charges on some BS, and Merrick Garland's not going to? he'd probably get fired. Oh, those are coming. So it'll be 3 things coming. Jimmy James says, fantastic news, lock him up. Jimmy James, be honest. You would want me locked up too, wouldn't you? Be honest. There's Jimmy James like a baby seal. Yes, queen. Yes, queen. That's fine. The moment you disagree with these people, I had Carlos on. I forget the Bible quote he was talking about or the Bible story. Basically, I didn't even know this, breaking up the Antichrist or like God into 3 parts and like the devil into 3 parts. And he was like, once people like Brandon and yourself, Jimmy James, you outlive your uselessness, they don't have any use for you. So you'll be discarded like trash. Happy times. I hope you're clapping like a baby seal when that happens. Thanks for the super chat. Fire Sky 15, $5 says, and the right won't even not show up for work. Facts. Yeah, I don't know if that's the answer, but the right is just too principled, too peaceful. The right will go into the Capitol and stay within the ropes. They'll go in the Capitol, and I love this about the right, go into the Capitol and pray with the federal Capitol Police and then still get hemmed up. And then after it happens, won't do anything but use it for content. Yeah. You can learn from the left a little bit. Now, I'm not for violent. The left is violent, but they do know how to activate. Definitely not for violence. I don't compromise my beliefs at all. Fundamental beliefs. Trump did not say he had been formally notified of forthcoming charges and provided no evidence of leaks from the DA's office. He did not discuss the possible charges in the post. A spokesperson for Trump said this in a statement: there has been no notification beyond leaks to the media. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office has been presenting evidence. This is going into the prawn star, Stormy Daniels. Let's get to Ron DeSantis. I think I'm gonna get into Ron DeSantis and then probably be out in a little bit. I have big problems with Ron DeSantis. I had problems with him since Mar-a-Lago, and I admit that I let that time pass, and then they started not raiding but going after documents for other VP, Pence, Brandon. I said, this is all hands on deck time. This is antebellum 1859 type stuff. We're the leaders. Everyone told me about DeSantis. DeSantis supporters, where you at? You know what I might do? I might recreate this video. Brandon supporters, where you at? DeSantis supporters, where you at?
Where the fuck are the Joe Biden supporters?
Where the F are the DeSantis supporters?
Where the fuck are the Joe Biden supporters?
I can tell you why, even though I'm not voting for him, I still stand with Trump. What about you, goofy MFers?
Where the fuck are the Joe Biden supporters? I can tell y'all why I support Trump. Tell me why y'all support this motherfucker.
Why you support that MFer? This is the serious time. This is go time. Like, beyond running for president. This is bigger than running for president. They're using the force of every institution to clamp down on the populist right. And DeSantis supporters, you still don't understand why I have a problem with him not addressing the populist right? That's bigger than policy. That's bigger than trans and critical gender and critical race theory issues. Everybody told me about DeSantis. Where is he at? He was as quiet as a church mouse when Trump got raided in his state. He had to know before it went down. Don't tell me he didn't know before it went down. He had nothing to say other than some generic ass statement and just kept on with his business. I did a poll on the channel and I said, give me your answer. If Trump gets arrested, is Ron DeSantis more likely to be upset or laugh? I think deep down in your heart, you know the answer to that. Deep down in your heart, DeSantis would have his newspaper in his hand and he'd be laughing his ass off. That's what he would be doing. He wouldn't give a damn. Of course he would be laughing his ass off. If he wasn't laughing his ass off, why would he be running for president? Or why would he be doing everything as if he is running for president except for announce? Of course if you're running for a high position and your competition that's been calling you names gets arrested, and you've never really, when's the last time he had strong support for J6ers or the populist right or MAGA or Grand Pappy? When's the last time you heard strong support from Ron DeSantis for that group? Oh, there used to be this thing on the Jim Rome show, but way back in the day, it was so funny where it's like something bad happens and then the person who doesn't care laughs. Donald Trump gets arrested, handcuffs, fingerprinted. Ron DeSantis laughs. Changed my mind. That's what he would do. Where is he at? Oh, he wouldn't do that. Then where is he? Where is he? This didn't just sneak up. We've known that this was leading up to this point from the raid, all the other stuff I told you about. Where is he? So, and that's why I hope it doesn't burn bridges, but a good friend on Twitter, we've chatted for probably now years now, a year and a half, 2, 3, I don't know how long we've been following each other. Mel, I've used Mel video stuff in here. Trump is getting arrested in Manhattan, which means he's allowing himself to be arrested. What is DeSantis supposed to say or do? What is he supposed to say or do? You all told me he was the boss. I did a live talking about you don't F with DeSantis. Yeah, sometimes you have to eat crow. You told me he's the boss. You told me he's savage. You told me he was better than Trump. This is the moment of all moments. What is he supposed to do? He's the governor of supposedly the most red state in the country. I'm told that he's a leader. So what's DeSantis' solution to all this attack against the populist right? Is to run against Trump. That's his answer. That's the answer to the problem, is to run against Trump. You can run against Trump if you want to. I'm not trying to be authoritarian. I'm saying, I'm analyzing, you see the scope of the landscape of the country, and your answer is to run against Trump. That's a problem for me that you haven't even addressed, haven't even come close to overcoming. In fact, things are getting more serious. I don't hear anything from you. You talk about all kinds of national issues. You respond when Tucker said, what do you do with the Ukraine country? If you weren't running for president, you could have replied to Tucker and said, I'm not running for president, Tucker. I don't know why you want my opinion on Ukraine. I'm the governor of Florida. So you can respond to Tucker on Ukraine and talk about blank checks, but Trump might get hemmed up on Tuesday and I don't hear anything from you. I'm doing a video. I haven't heard anything from you. Stop talking about DeSantis. I don't want to hear anything about pro-DeSantis people. I don't want to hear anything about him until he addresses these issues. With being genuine, authentic, not corporate, talk to me like a normal person. I don't want to hear, zip it. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to dig in anything. I don't need to read into George S. and his statements. I don't need to read in. I don't need to guess. I don't need to talk about Jeb Bush. I don't need to talk about Joe Scarborough. I don't need to talk about John Bolton supporting him until recently. I don't need to talk about none of that. Address the issues going on in our country. I don't have to agree with you. At least address the issue. He got hemmed up in your state. He's not the person you sold him as. DeSantis supporters, he's not the one you sold me as. I never said he was bad for Florida. We're talking about national issues. What could he be doing? He's the governor. States have powers. We don't have to be in a relationship. At what point do we, after all these things, thing after thing after thing, banks collapsing, and they feel like the most important, one of them in New York, and they feel like the most important thing is to try to go after Trump. DeSantis and his state, he's got a red legislative body, House and Senate, and they're all in lockstep when it comes to these cultural issues. I gave them nothing but credit for that. They should be in lockstep you should have Governor Abbott on the phone right now. What are we going to do? What do you mean, what can he do? AGs on the phone right now. Joint letter. You go ahead and do this. Here's the ultimatum. I talked with Noam. I talked with Abbott. I talked with who? Throw them out there. Who are I don't even know who they are. I mean, there aren't many governors I can name without looking like an idiot. So maybe there's not I'm sure there's not the red states to make this move. But that's what you would be doing. Is getting the people, state of Florida, saying, hey, here's where we're at. I'm going to be talking to the other states. We're going to be releasing a statement. Maybe it's just me and I don't even know. What governor would even sign on to that right now? What governor would sign on to that? These red state governors are just a joke. Let's go through the list real quick. And then I'm going to be out. I wish I could do a longer live, but I'm going to have to be out in like 15 minutes Yeah, but is this a list of the governors, current U.S. state governors? Where's the list? Okay. I'm not familiar with all of them. So would Kay Ivey be down? I don't know. Mike Dunleavy, would he be down? I mean, there's some, Sarah, we know Polis wouldn't be. Ron's not even down. Oh, we know Brian Kemp's not down. We know he's not down. They're prosecuting him in his state. Who else is laughing? Brian Kemp's laughing. I think Sarah would be down. I'm going to say that I'm going to include Sarah. But I don't hear from her though. Who else would be down? Would Brad Little? I don't even know Brad Little. We know Eric Holcomb wouldn't be down. Kim Reynolds, she's not about that life. People tell me I don't know much about Laura Kelly. I got to do some digging on a lot of these. I don't know anything about Tate Reeves either. Mike Parson. I'm not real knowledgeable on the red governors, so I've got to look at that. We know Mike DeWine's not down. I know, I can tell you about that one. I don't know. I don't even know if Chrissy Nome would be down for real. We know Greg Abbott's not about that life. We know Spencer Cox is not about that life. We know that. That dude is like social justice left. I don't know much about Phil Scott. Maybe there could be something there. Oh, we know Glenn Youngkin's not about that life. He'd be with Ron DeSantis in a room like laughing because he could probably get a cabinet position from DeSantis. Who's about that life? I don't know anything about Jim Justice. Who's about that life? Tell me. You probably couldn't find 5. I think that's where we probably have to start, y'all. I think we probably have to start there. And Ron DeSantis, if he's the leader that he is, he should be rallying support for that. Forget about the federal government. New York, the state of New York, the state of Georgia, they have gone rogue. We didn't do this. This is a defensive measure. Pappy, Grandpappy, you know what? On Tuesday, I think you should stay back at the crib in Florida. What could DeSantis do? Why would you say that? What do you mean, what could he do? The federal government does not have to exist. It doesn't have to exist. If Ron DeSantis was really that person, he would say, Pappy, come back to the state. Let's chill. On Tuesday, you ain't need to go anywhere. We good. Oh, and you know what? You know what else? Capitol Police Field Office, Phoebe Police Office. It might be a good time for y'all to move on the hell up out of here. What do you mean? What could he do? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? What could he do? God. It's too late now. We haven't got that. We haven't got the momentum to get where we need to be. We can't snap our fingers and start doing this. Stuff should have happened from the Mar-a-Lago raid. This should have happened from the second impeachment. When they lied about him, that should have happened from then. It should have happened when they even decided to convene a grand jury. We're too late now. FireSky15, thank you for the super chat. $5 says, oops, sorry, I'll get to Metaloppy. When the pendulum swings back, it's either going to be a forceful but controlled swing back, or you're going to be raised and untethered. You got to be strategic. Thank you for the super chat. The pendulum's got to swing back as strong in a strategic way. We're playing chess. They're playing chess. What people can't do is violence would be like, oh, I can't beat this chess player, so I'm going to go beat them up. That's stupid. What my suggestion is, I'm getting up from the chess table because they're playing chess, and not only are they playing chess, they're cheating. They're moving their pieces wherever they want. And I'm like, wait. I'm not playing chess with you in your territory with your rules, your house rules. You're making up on the fly. You're not following the Constitution or the rules. You just thrown that out the way. The Supreme Court's supposed to be the judge, and even with a somewhat based Supreme Court, they can't interject without getting a case, and it takes forever by design. So I'm not playing chess with you anymore. Find someone else to play. We will still have battles in USA 1, but at least our fundamentals hopefully will be, our morals will be more closely aligned. We won't have to even talk about is our drag shows for children a legit thing or not. That was probably the first sign, was when half of our country can't define a woman and the other half can't understand why they can't define it. At least you can define a woman. If you can't define a woman, create your own culture, your own country. I'm not playing chess with you anymore. You don't know how a bishop moves. How can I play chess with you? You're playing a different game. Yeah, the energy needs to be reciprocated in the same manner, but strategic. You don't go to DC and protest. Why? I don't know. I'm gonna get out and get some distance from this, get some perspective. Take the kids out. They need to get a haircut, get them lined up, get their haircuts right. My two kids, my two boys, take that perspective. I'm a part of the problem as much as anybody else. I don't know if that will change or not. Nothing to announce, but trying to make sure that there's an impact beyond bloviating, because they ain't doing a damn thing. Better than nothing. Because you can't speak it, you can't do it. I mean, that's what it is. FireSky15, thank you for super chat, says $5. Says, take back the culture and subculture or make your own. They squander theirs. That's why I have, my kids are reading the Isom comic book. That's why I don't have it there. We have another one that we don't open. So, and I bring that up from Eric July because that's culture. But that's why they're going to the central bank. Once they go to the CBDC, then they own the culture too. All they have to do is say, Eric July is a hate person and you don't get to work with, we won't publish it, we'll hold you up. Low credit score. That's the long game. But yeah, that's how you have to do it. But you can't have Georgia. You can't have a congresswoman. Thanks again, FireSky15. Great point to keep the conversation going. You can't have a congresswoman from Georgia District 14, Marjorie Taylor Greene, call for national divorce when you have 2 Democrat senators and the Fulton County DA in your state is trying to put charges on Trump? You can't. You can't control culture. You can't do anything. You got to, I mean, you got to take over these counties and you got to take over these states. This is a red state. If you don't abide by the Constitution, the gig's up. The divorce papers are ready to go. It's ready. You go ahead and go do this. We already got the divorce papers written up and ready, and we want to do it peacefully. That you can't get a culture without that. Metalopoly says yesterday was the 30th anniversary of Waco. Going our own way won't work. Waco's different, man. Waco was not from a state level. The state of Texas did not support the Waco compound. Fee-by, not allowed in. Ron DeSantis can say, yeah, I've had enough. Pappy, go to your home in Mar-a-Lago. Any federal employees in the state of Florida, get the hell up out of here. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. We do not acknowledge the Manhattan DA. That there are few people on this planet that we respect their opinion less than the Manhattan DA. So go ahead and go kick rock somewhere. Your citizens are coming to our state and you think we're going to give you Grand Pappy? Go on somewhere. The state has to support it. I agree. If it's at a Waco level, then you just get wrecked because look at DeSantis. DeSantis has shown no support for J6ers. Most of the J6ers are from Florida. Ron DeSantis is like, fine, y'all can go to federal government, get hemmed up. I don't care. I'm out. Let me know what you think. Appreciate everybody for the chat. Take care.